Last time we learned the basics of bash commands. Today, let's build our very first bash script, a daily note-taking tool right in the terminal. You'll be able to just type one word and instantly open up today's note file. Simple, practical, and really handy day to day. So, let's jump in. So first, let's make a new script file. So to do this, I will want my nano command, and then we'll have the file name. Let's call it daily_note. Make sure the file name has this .sh at the end, because that tells the system what it does. So once you've got that, let's enter nano and start this bash script. Now, how to start a bash script when writing it in Nano or any other editor? You need to start it with what's called a shebang, and then / wherever bash is stored. It's pretty much always /bin/bash. So you're going to want #! Or shebang /bin/bash. Now that's all done. We want a notes folder. So let's create a directory. So let's call this notes. So what $home does is it basically picks where you are, where this is running from. So why is that a slash? So this is your command to tell it this is where I want my notes to be stored. Now we're going to have to make that directory. Remember this command, mkdir, that makes the directory. -p, this is something to remember. -p does something that mkdir doesn't do, and -p checks that the folder exists. So if notes is there, it will see that and do nothing. If notes isn't there, it will see that and create it. So now we've got that, we want to generate today's file, don't we? So follow along with me. Let's generate our file name. So what do we want to call the file? Well, we want it to be something to do with the date, right? So if we use this $ again, this will come up a lot when you're playing with variables. And if you do this, follow me very carefully, because it's just a string of random characters. And now I will explain what that does. So this file name, it will, using the date command, it will get today's date, and it will put it in this format. So 2025 09 09. This is the year, this is the month, this is the day. Then it will go _notes.txt. If you want to name it something other than notes, make it more interesting, feel free to do that, but that just makes it easier. But we're obviously going to want it to be saved somewhere. So we're going to want our notes directory followed by our file name. So that's all sorted. Now, what do we do next? So one thing that I want is I want there to be a date at the top of my page, but I don't want it to keep adding dates whenever I open it. I want it to open one file with one date. So we're going to use an if command for this. Again, follow along very carefully. This looks really complicated, but I will go through it. It's best to indent there. You don't can explain what all this does, but this is using much of the fundamentals I've covered in my previous video. So yeah, if you're just following along, then I will now go through and explain this. So this if statement will see if the file path exists, and this exclamation mark will tell it what to do if it doesn't exist. So we echo the notes for, and then print our date. Now, if we do this little thing, that means it will write it to this file. So instead of printing it to the terminal, it will go into this file. And then these dashes, we've got a double arrow here, which means it will be appended to the file. It won't overwrite this, it'll be put at the end. And then this statement adds a blank line. Again, appends it to the file. And then fi is basically the end of an if statement. If forwards is if backwards is fi. We're going to want to be able to edit this file, aren't we? So, how do we do that? Our trusty nano command. So if we go nano file path, it will open that file path in nano. Now, click Control S, Control X, and you're now out of it. All we need to do now is this. This is a fundamental command I didn't cover last time, but all it does is it allows you to change the permissions. So +X means execute. You are allowed to execute the file, which is what we want to be able to do. Now that's sorted, we can do ./dailynote.sh. Okay, I've got an error. Sorry about that. So if we do dailynote.sh, there we go. Notes for Monday, September the 8th, 2025. And that's perfect. That's what I wanted. I can type anything I want. I'm not humble at all. Then if we do Control S, Control X, that daily note is saved. And indeed, if we navigate to the notes folder, hold on a minute, I've lost the notes folder. Right, so I found my notes. I got that working. If we run that, it shows it inside and it shows the location. I had to modify my location, but for most use cases, the $home will be fine. If not, just enter the full path and you can save the notes there instead. Now, there's one more thing we need to do. And it is not type dailynote.sh every single time. It's way too long. So instead, what we need to do, if we typing in this little command with a single quote there, will add alias note equals daily_note.sh to, sorry, my bad, we need to enter the full file path there. There you go. It will add your full file path to this thing called note. And then it will add this to the special file, which when we execute it and use the source command to reload the directory, if we now type in note, there we go. So What have we done? If you type in note, it will load today's daily note, which you can then quickly edit. Really useful, full of real world potential. You have to admit this script is kind of confusing. Even if you're a Bash expert, sometimes the simplest things don't quite go right. Well, if I've just described to you things go wrong or you don't understand some of the things in this script, click on the video on screen now to recap the basic Bash commands. See you in the next one.